It's and it makes the discussion quite interesting, in this part of the world where many people think the way of modernization is the emulation of a more materially successful civilization. And that has been part of the kind of Arab crisis since the 19th century. Napoleon's invasion of Egypt, the apparent mastery of technique by the Europeans, and Muhammad Abdul, Rashid Rida, Kawakibi and others, Huda Sha'arawi, initiated the discussion about how we take the best of the West and leave the stuff that is not in accordance with our traditions. Generally, that wasn't theorized out with much sophistication. It was more kind of crisis-driven. We need railways, we need modern weapons, and this is kind of how the Ottomans did it. In the long term, that didn't really yield a very unified kind of culture. You had people who had torn between two different worlds, speaking different languages, even in different contexts, which is not a good basis for sort of national development. The Chinese never did that. The Japanese never did that. The Koreans never did that. What they assimilated from the West, they processed, and they always did everything in their own language. One of the explanations for the economic miracle of Korea is the fact that they emphasized their own language and their own literature in every level of higher education. Whereas in a place like Algeria, you find if you study medicine, you have to study it in French. And that is a major factor in the economic retardation of those cultures, that everybody is kind of living in a binary existence. So that seemed inevitable when the triumph of the West was so overwhelming and the West was physically administering most of the Muslim world. Now, when the Anglosphere in particular seems to be hurting so much, and the triumphalism has died away, it becomes a more ambiguous and I think more interesting discussion for Muslim countries, because we can see that the Western model, if it's leading to 44% of young people with diagnosed mental health issues, that's not necessarily what we want for our own young people. Let's be a little bit more selective, not in a xenophobic way, but learn from the mistakes of others rather than in the kind of Ataturk style admiringly convert to whatever is foreign and abandon and even persecute what's indigenous. So I think the discourse now is going to be a little bit more interesting and a little bit less one-sided as a result of this evident crisis of Western civilization.